My name is Drew Waldron, and I am on with inspirational speaker, professor, and professional musician, Richard White. Richard, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm excited to get into a conversation about your career, and I think the best place to start is the fact that you have such an incredibly dynamic career behind you, and it might be difficult to put this simply, but how do you describe your work to someone who is learning about you for the first time?
I think my life purpose at this point in my life is to simply inspire hope. So I wear many hats. I mean, I'm a professor, I play in two professional orchestras, and I'm a motivational speaker. Outside of that, I'm an author, and I'm even CEO of a nonprofit, which I'd like people to know about. I believe that it's my responsibility to pay it forward with everything that I do. And I want to inspire hope so that whether you're at an advantage or disadvantage, whatever your circumstances is, I want to give people hope that they can do it. So I started the Raw Tuba Foundation, which is a music and after school program. Get this, from ages 5 to 105. And so I think I juggle everything that I do for other people. If I'm honest with you, Drew, if it was just up to me, I would sit on my couch, eat donuts, potato chips, and play my Nintendo Switch, and I'd be happy. But I don't do that because I don't want to let the universe down, and I don't want to let the people that look up to me down. So I get up every day and contribute the best that I can to the world. I believe that if I can contribute my best, you contribute your best. That has to equal something magnificent. And I don't want to let that magnificent possibility down. So I get up every day and do my best in the name of betterment for all.
I love that, and I'd like to sit on my couch and play my Switch too. But you were talking about touching base with people regardless of their circumstances. Your work relating to resilience and your life story are inherently intertwined with one another. How does your personal story inform the work that you do now in the present day?
You know, in every speech, there's some pillars that I always talk about. And this is a great question. And I think what we all really want in life is what I call the three C's: choice, chance, and change. We just want a chance to make the right choices to see the kind of change that's for the betterment of all. So I'm not saying that I'm going to succeed at everything, but I'm definitely going to give it a chance. There's a famous quote that goes, "Great people aren't born great, they go great." You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. I love that quote. And that's what I think. I think we all just have to take our shots.
Well said. When you're delivering these messages to your audiences, you had made the remark that you speak to ages 5 to 105. As you're sharing your personal story, are there any differences with how you tailor your work to a younger audience versus an audience full of adults?
I think the story is the same. The relatability is what's different. I can't be in everyone's home or everyone's work environment. But what happens when the speech is organic and we get to the question and answer part, things get really real with tears, serious questions, relatability. And that's the most important part of the speaking, when I can relate and change the life of a teacher or a student that's there. Because, Drew, we have to remember, we have to learn to meet people where they are, not where we expect them to be. And when I speak to audiences organically, I get to meet them exactly where they are. No judgment, no prejudgment. And then we get to the magic, I call it, happens because we're both vulnerable on stage and we're sharing the same goal. And I think that's when communication breakdowns happen, when we have different goals or expectations. But if you have no prejudgment, your ears are open, your eyes are wide open so you can hear and intake what the audience is receiving and what you're giving to them. And it's a magical experience. And those are the best kind of events.
That sounds incredible. When you're at these speaking engagements and you get to the live performance aspect, when you bring out your tuba, how do your audiences react to that?
That is still a phenomenon because most people, believe it or not, think that the tuba goes oompa, 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 boop, boop, boop. And I know that's what the majority of the world thinks. So when I play lyrically and beautiful, and then when I start beatboxing, all you see is jaws dropping on the floor. And then afterwards, I had no idea the tuba could do that. In fact, at a lot of speeches, people would say, "I heard the drums and I was looking all around the room for the drums. And then I realized it was you." Because I can beatbox and play at the same time. And I think that's the power of the imagination. You know, when we talk about my resilience and ability to determination just to keep going, I think that's my superpower, my imagination. So I push the limits of music and my tuba. And so my imagination allows me to do the unthinkable, which is combine classical music and rap. And when people experience that, it's an aha moment.
You are the first tuba beatboxer that I've heard of in my life personally. If we could dive into the origin of your musicianship, I wanted to ask, like, what got you into music when you were younger, and when did you realize that this was something you wanted to carry into your professional life?
Music changed my life because it gave me a sense of community. And my music career really took shape and took off when I broke my hip. I'm 6'5", 330 pounds, man. I wanted to be a football player, but I broke my hip playing football, and all I had was a sousaphone. So my life took off then. And, my attraction to different types of music, it's really interesting. My mind can be so simple sometimes because on the streets, I really just had to worry about surviving. Whether you and I were just talking, whether you're playing country music, rap, whether it be rock and roll, guess what, Drew? We all choose from the same set of 12 notes. There's not a special set of notes that said, hey, man, you play classical music, you only use these notes. No matter what genre you play, we got the same options in terms of notes. And I think that's the beauty of music, that it's a language and a relatability that everyone can aspire to and actually receive the message.
Exactly. It builds community. And it's so easy to see why you are such an advocate for the arts. And unfortunately, the arts are always first on the education budgetary chopping block. Now, what do you think is the strongest argument that you make for keeping the arts alive in all of our education systems?
There has never been a thriving or successful civilization that did not have a positive or robust arts culture, ever. Check every history beginning from the beginning. Art is always involved, whether it be dance, theater, music, now digital media, right? Art, it's always growing, but it's the fabric of emotion. It's the fabric of who we are beyond just the existing part. I think whether you're religious or not, we all agree that we have a soul. However you want to define that soul, your inner being, meaning soul in this case, we all have that. And sometimes I think we forget that. How do you feed the soul? Think about that for a minute. It's through the arts. You hear a song in your soul, you feel joyous. You see a theater, you see a play, and it's like, wow, it speaks to you. So I think without a soulful, I know this is going to sound crazy. I didn't make this up. But without soulful meaningless, we would be empty shells. Without soulful meaningfulness, we would be empty shells.
I think that's very well said. If we could jump topics really quickly, not only aside from your musicianship, are you a DEI specialist, but you speak publicly on DEI as well. Now, in regards to current political, cultural, or social landscapes, I would like to get your take on what DEI is in 2024. What are we doing well? What progress still needs to be made? And where do you think we're going?
That's a big question. So I would like to add the B to DEI because I think is diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Belonging being the most important part to me, actually, when we talk about community belonging. I don't have your typical response to DEI because I don't believe in well-intended tokenism. I believe in earned, not given. And what I mean by that, I think everything should start with excellence. If we start with excellence, then we do not lower the bar of excellence. But what we need to do is provide the resources for everyone to compete at the bar of excellence. So in this country, sometimes we have a problem where we'll distribute help at level 5. And if you don't achieve success at level 5, you must be lazy or you must be untalented. But we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Maybe the person that's not succeeding at level 5 needs level 6 or 7, and then they can thrive. For example, if you want to be a Formula race car driver and you give me a nice Toyota Camry, good luck with that. Of course, it's a nice, decent car, but it doesn't even reach the minimal speeds to compete. So we have to give people the resources to compete at the level of excellence, and then we can drive, because well-intended tokenism, as we see, is coming back to haunt us. I believe that everyone has the potential and ability to succeed, and we just have to give them a chance to do so. That's my honest take on DEI.
I like how both your talks on music and DEI, they both relate to community. What do you think are the most important defining factors of community, especially in regards to the talks that you give to all of your audiences?
The word together, it's fascinating. And I talked about earlier the 3 C's. To me, the word together means to get her. And what is her? Lady Liberty. The word really breaks down, to get her. And to get her means all we want is a chance to make the right choices to see the kind of change that's for the betterment of all. That is my principle in most of my life. And I think that's what we're all striving for. No one wants to be given anything that they didn't earn because it hurts your self-esteem. Everyone wants to feel proud. Pride is an issue that we all have to tackle, right? And I think if you give it your best, you're winning. We are so obsessed in this country with winning that I think we miss the goal. The goal is not to win. The goal is to always do your best, and winning is a byproduct of doing your best.
And it's all about effort. Speaking of effort, Richard, what are the biggest projects out right now that people should be on the lookout for, whether it's your work as an author, your work as a musician, a creator? What projects would you like to direct people to?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked that. So right now, I have a few, I guess you could call them life goals, and they're not in any particular order. But one is I want to be the first musician to say that I've played a recital on all 7 continents. So I'm working on playing in Antarctica. Continents left: Antarctica, Africa, and Australia. So I'm hoping to knock these out and get in the Guinness Book of World Records somehow, which is crazy. I know these ideas that I have, and musically, you're going to love this. I want to make a yoga CD with tuba, with just drones and soft music, because I think it's the one category I could win a Grammy in because not too many people enter it. And then
I didn't even know that was a category.
And on the back half of that list, I think we have my next book, which is The 5 Educative Languages of Teaching and Administration: The Dreamer, the Motivator, the Storyteller, the Truth Teller, and the Freestyler. And it's modeled after the 5 love languages, in which you're supposed to identify how you administer education and how you receive education. I'm very excited about it. In every talk that I give, everyone's like, when is that book coming out? I can't wait to buy it. And last but not least is the Raw Tuba Foundation, which I'm providing music and after school programs for ages 5 to 105, because I believe the very young is often neglected and the very old is often forgot about. So we have to bridge the gap and keeping in line with that unity and that word togetherness and service everybody. So I've bought 6.5 acres, which we will begin a capital campaign to build the Raw Tuba Foundation facilities. And I'm very excited about the potential of this non-for-profit organization.
Wow, that is a huge undertaking.
Yes.
I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I'm still like stuck on a mental image of you performing in Antarctica to an audience of all these up in their giant jackets and everything.
Well, you have to visit because I'll be performing here on the ranch. I mean, when you see the landscape in the mountains, the property that I've purchased, your jaw will hit the floor. It's just beautiful. It's going to be a place of fellowship, a place of community, and a place of learning. Most importantly, I want it to be a place where everyone feels that they can be who they are.
That sounds incredible. A community built by art. Richard, we're coming to the end of the interview, and we always end on this type of question. So feel free to answer it however you'd like. What advice do you have for young people?
Wow, my biggest advice for young people: the world has become a very segregated place, and I think that is not the path forward. And what I mean by segregation is not how you would normally think about it. What I mean by segregation is if you went to school, the music department doesn't talk to the English department. The English department doesn't talk to the math department. And kids today are exposed to so much information that they have ideas of what they want to be and what they want to do. So my biggest advice is when you enter school or you start your journey to what you want to be, it may not exist, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. So when you go to school to be a musician and they say you can play chamber music, you can play in an orchestra, or you can be a teacher, if what you want to be is not on that list, don't give up. Just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean you can't do it. Follow your dreams. You can create the magic. And in terms of confidence, have confidence in yourself, not the institution, because the institution can burn down, not in things, because things can be taken away from you. But you cannot lose yourself unless you decide to give it away. So invest and have confidence in yourself.
Excellent. We need a world of confident trailblazers. Well, that is going to conclude our conversation with Richard White. Richard, thank you again for your time.
You're awesome. Thank you very much.